tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
We're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
Hey! Wow! You went the wrong way.
Sorry.
Thanks, Tauri.
I thought
Thanks,
it was going to be
Tauri.
so we all stayed stage front.
Oh, like a rainbow
then,
five.
Yeah. And then everyone went their own way. And
all right.
this
Well,
was
Buzzers, sorry for the long introduction. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Arrow After Show. Yes, you are watching the right after show. I'm Alikona Bradford. You can find me at Boys and Beauty 01. Make sure you join our conversation tonight. You too can be a co-host. All you have to do is use the hashtag ABTV Arrow, and we'll be checking that throughout the night. But let's get to some of our other fancy schmancy hosts.
Man, fancy schmancy. I am stunned. I am Lex Michael, all over social media at the Lex Michael, and now I will not cease until we get a Diggle Brothers spinoff that recycles that theme song.
That would be amazing.
And I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J. It's TaurijAY.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at KiaXet. That's KIAXET. We're checking the hashtag. I am getting the live chat up just as soon as technology decides to behave. Overwatch, I am not. But yeah, we'll see your comments.
Yay! All right, so let's start talking about the show tonight. The first thing for me is Felicity. Times 2, I guess 2.0, I don't know. Obviously, she's having a little bit of hallucinations. How did we feel about this? Because right off the bat, I was slightly annoyed.
She really should have gone to her doctor, or at least called them and said, I am having these really bad side effects from this medicine. Can we switch to something else? Because unless you're in a very specific situation and there's interactions, what's the word I'm looking for? When two medicines clash and do awful things with each other in your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's just too logical for this show.
It kind of is, but I feel like that's something that they really should be worrying about, you know?
Well, I like, too, it felt very much the lead up to and reveal of the doppelganger when Felicity was hearing all these voices felt very, very Norman Osborn to me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she starts talking to a darker version of herself. In this case, literally the gothed out version of herself. I don't know if this has come up on this show before whenever we have referenced goth Felicity, because she hasn't come up in a while. Looks almost exactly like Death from the Sandman books.
That probably has come up, but she comes up so infrequently that... I mean, when was the last time we talked about goth Felicity? Last season?
Would probably
A while
have to
ago.
be. Yeah, but like almost exactly like that, to the point where I'm assuming it has to be intentional.
But how did you guys feel about that? Just in general, because the reason I ask is because it's not something we've seen a whole lot of. I mean, we saw the vertigo effect in the past with the seeing and what have you, but this for some reason was really weird and it didn't rub me the right way initially.
I thought I guess for me, it felt like a very TV thing to do, where they want to get her to work through her feelings, but they don't want her to just be sitting in a room being like, oh no, Felicity,
feel sorry.
Don't think about that. It's a good way of manifesting those feelings, and it leaves us to wonder if it was the medication or if it's just how she deals with emotions and things like that. Because I feel like this is the first time she's really had to deal with something this personally shocking.
Yeah, it's a very good way of taking what's going on in her head and putting it on the screen, because it's not like in a book where we have third-person omniscient and we know,
Right.
or like she can just have a soliloquy at the audience. It doesn't work that way. And so given the excuse of the medication, which can screw you up 6 ways to Sunday, as I'm sure many of our viewers can attest, it's a good device to use and a good time in which to use it, to be able to pull that to the forefront and say, okay, we're working it out like this so the audience can be privy to this process.
I see. Well, I feel like a lot of what she was doing too had to do with self-pity, self-blame, which to me, it's normal in that process when you're dealing with such a huge issue that happens in your life. But for anybody else here on the table, did you guys feel like, oh, self-pity?
Not really.
No.
It just, I mean, Katie, I agree with what you were saying. I just like it as a device. It did feel like, okay, goth Felicity is a very interesting and specific choice. Is that if you're going to imagine your inner monologue as a separate entity, going with that version of herself, I think was very specific and very appropriate, especially if we are going to talk about shades of self-pity and woe is me and the darkness and really, what's the word? Indulging, it's not the word I was looking for. First one that came to mind, indulging in that darkness a little bit. But I just liked getting to see Emily Bett Rickards play these two personas off of each other.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal on this show. She has been since the day she showed up, and just watching her play multiple notes simultaneously off of herself was really entertaining to me.
Oh, yeah. It's a ton of fun to watch and extremely well shot, seamlessly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say the thing that I felt was like a nice reveal, and maybe it's just something that I've missed in past episodes, but one of the things I call Felicity Point 2 or 2.0 or whatever you want to call it at home is she had made mention that the last time Felicity did the switch over, or the mask as her other part would like to call it, was when she had the breakup with Cooper, and it was such a life-changing thing that's when she busted out the hair dye and took the contacts out and blah 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 blah, and swore to herself that she would never be this person again. And now that she has a second big change in her life, that's the opportunity for her to go in the direction of either that again or to own who she is, and she chose to own who she is.
And what I find intriguing is that it wasn't Oliver's death, was that only last season? That sparked this sort of change. It was a change to her own situation. So it wasn't the same, I lost someone I cared about again, here we go. It was, I'm losing words tonight. It's
Yeah.
But you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, completely. Well, and it's
Thank
something
you.
that I think is that's very true to reality. And then, I think we all probably know a number of people who, using a breakup as an example, it feels like, and I think it relates, Katie, to what you just said about it wasn't necessarily Oliver's death. Like, that's something that happened to somebody she cared about. This is something that happens to her. So for a lot of people, it's not being shot by a supervillain. It's, something like a breakup, which feels very much like it's something that happens to you. And in a situation like that, I think a lot of people reach for any little element that they can control. So oftentimes it's like, yeah, I feel like everybody knows the person, whether they're male or female, who gets out of a relationship and then immediately changes their hair color, for example.
Oh, yeah.
So that, I thought, was a nice, very realistic touch.
Yeah. And I mean, beyond that, it's also back when, kind of piggybacking off of both Katie and Lex, that back when Oliver died, quote unquote, she also had to be the anchor for the team. But at this point, they're a well-oiled machine, and it kind of gave her the notion that she wasn't needed at all. And so that's also where a lot of her anxiety is coming in, is that not only is she kind of a side member, but also now she has this other thing to deal with. So, ultimately, is she going to be a burden on the team? Is she even worth being around? That kind of thing.
Well, and we're seeing the team try to function without, I'm not using the backbone metaphor anymore, beyond that.
Yeah.
It's
Yikes.
infrastructure.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Because she is the team's infrastructure. She is that central hub that keeps everything up. And so them running into, okay, this is security we can't get past, or okay, we need to track this down. How?
Right.
Are you okay over there?
Oh, dear. Oh.
Show's over.
That's a wrap on Alikona, everybody. Yes.
Do you need some water?
I have a throat drop.
Sweet.
I'll be okay.
Is it working?
Okay.
It's trying to work. It's trying to work, guys. Apologies for
It
the
is
extra.
cold and flu season, ladies and gentlemen, and that makes life super interesting around here.
Yes.
But I did like, too, that through the use of this device, we did get to focus a lot on this internal struggle that Felicity's having. And and this is something that I appreciate that the show has been doing more in the past year. there is an opportunity where, if they were so inclined, they could take this and milk the drama out of it over the course of many, many shows to the point where it would get very, very tired. So I appreciate that using this device, we could really deal with it extensively in this episode and get her by episode's end to a healthier place. So much so that I think now in my own life, whenever I really need to process something tough, I'm going to imagine myself talking to Goth Lex about it. And we're going to see where I get to in the end of 40 minutes.
And then you're going to go burn a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's something that this show has gotten really good at over the seasons is instead of focusing on, oh, look, drama, it's getting better at mitigating some of it and focusing on more of the overarching issues.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
I like that. Well done.
Very much becoming a character show as opposed to just like here's a story, here's a plot, do something with it.
They're learning, and
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I really liked the speech actually that Oliver had given her at the very, very end when he had said, and I really, really like this, guys, how he had said, you know, we live in a world. I know that I don't want to, living in denial is not healthy, but at the same time, we live in a world where we've seen people shrink and fly and come back to life, and I will not stop until we find a way to make you walk again. And I was like,
And this is right
love
after,
you.
That's right after it's not good for us to be in denial, but I'm going to be in denial. Like,
But it's
honey, no.
No, but it's not. I don't see it as denial. I mean, I get what he's saying, but he also is very right. I mean, come on, bringing somebody back from the dead. Who would have ever thought?
Yeah.
And they live in that world.
They have actually climbed bigger hills at this point than figuring out how to restore the use of somebody's legs. That said, yeah, it's a little bit of, well, yeah, exactly what you said.
What?
It's like,
Everything before, if you look at a sentence, everything before but is a lie.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I was going to say. Wouldn't it be cool if I'm going to get lashed out so hard by fans? Sorry in advance. But wouldn't it be cool if we could just dump the bottom half of her in a Lazarus pit and heal the bottom half of her?
I mean, if they could, in fairness, if you could find a working Lazarus pit in universe at the moment, that's maybe not impossible, but they've created a situation where, and I'm sure because they're Lazarus pits, there's always one more somewhere.
Right.
Always.
Are her
But-
legs just going to have rage? Is she going to want to go
Yeah.
around?
Yeah, she's gonna she's gonna be running all over the place, bumping into stuff, like trying to like hold on to the cabinet so her like doesn't fly into the living room. But yeah, we're in a situation right now where, as far as we all know, there aren't any Lazarus pits that we can go find.
Arrow science.
Though we do have a super special outlying piece of magic, which is the tattoo. So
Yes.
that could come into play in healing her.
We also have the idea of nanobots, although I think Ray took those with him to the 70s last week. So,
Well, and that's the thing too, is like whether it's Lazarus Pit magic or some science that is so sciencey that it's essentially magic.
So sciencey, is
so
it?
sciencey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We've discovered alchemy.
But like, we are also living in a universe that is rapidly expanding to include far more weird magical stuff than just the couple of things that Oliver rattled off. I guarantee you somewhere in this universe under some rock is something that could help them.
literally under a rock.
It probably is. I mean, based on what we've seen so far, especially on Arrow, it probably is literally under a rock. It's probably on the island somewhere.
We do have Asheen Gill in the chat saying Curtis will probably figure something out.
Yeah, and there's Curtis.
Thought.
Yeah, where was he?
Where has he been?
He-
We haven't seen him since the Christmas party.
He's a chauffeur off screen.
That's true, but we haven't actually seen him since the Christmas party. I miss that man.
Yeah.
Echo is a glorious human being, and I'd love more of him on screen.
Yes.
Somebody had mentioned in Twitter, Alicia Perez, Billie Jean Girl, is asking about what do I think about them dropping the name Oracle on the show. I think we knew they were going to do that. They weren't going to use it anyways for a while.
It was a really good way to address something, because we could all see the Oracle signs. We could see it coming down the pipe.
We've
as
talked
it
about
were.
this several times.
Oh, yeah. And so it was a really good way of saying, yes, we understand that these are your concerns and theories, and we're just doing it with a one-off Batman reference. The Oracle is taken. And it was a perfect way just to say, yep, get it, got it, good. We're moving on.
And it too, like, two things about that specifically. One, the name that they do use, Overwatch, I believe was something that was suggested by a fan, and I think it was a great idea. And it's really cool that, and you see more and more too, a lot of the people making this stuff they're listening. You know what I mean? Like when you put your thoughts and your opinions out there, they actually are listening. I think Overwatch is great. The Oracle reference, because I'm wearing a Batman shirt right now.
I would say nerd, but I'm wearing a Steven Universe shirt, so.
So I'm a huge Batman fan, so obviously just the reference made me super happy. But then the fact that the name is already taken in that universe suggests the existence of the Bat family in that world. Will we ever get to see them? I doubt it.
Oh, probably
but
not.
I strongly doubt it. If we don't get Amanda Waller on this show anymore, I doubt very strongly we're going to get the Bat family anytime soon.
We have this week's hashtag.
What?
Stephanie Ormer, the Lazarus Pit causes #leg rage.
Nice.
That is this week's hashtag. Thank you, Stephanie, for the ABTV Arrow hashtag of the week. We need a soundbite for that now.
Yeah, because there's always a new one. Let's actually talk about Amanda Waller since you brought her up. Definitely.
Dead.
Oh, she's very dead.
She's dead.
She's extremely
dead.
I didn't see that one coming when it came. I jumped a little in my chair, like, oh, he really just no thought whatsoever, just boom, and then I went, yeah. I was done with her.
To be fair, yeah, Amanda Waller was not a nice person.
No.
And her death did seem very abrupt, let's say, but to me, much in the way that with the way they killed off Deadshot on this show as well. I mean, they had an episode in that case to build to it a little more directly.
Right.
But it was, I mean, I think we know, if you've been following the DC movie news at all, if you've seen the Suicide Squad trailer, you know that they're using Amanda Waller and Deadshot both in this movie. So to me, it felt very much like, well, that came out of nowhere, when in fact where it came from is some higher up at DC Warner Brothers going, so Viola Davis is Amanda Waller now, so you got to take yours, and I don't know, get rid of it.
her?
Yeah.
We're taking that toy out of your sandbox, but the way they set it up, I would say in world, is extremely believable and very well done. And let's be honest, you work for Argus, you kind of assume that you will eventually go out in that sort of fashion.
Right.
We were just not expecting the pillar of Argus to go down like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is an organization that is going to need to fill that power vacuum very quickly. We don't know how or with whom, but I'm sure there's something in the comics that addresses it that I don't know about.
I'm not even going to say that specifically. I'm just going to go the way they played up Lila's role in the proceedings of this episode, the way Waller seemed to, despite what many of the things that she said and certainly has done in the past, Waller still trusted Lila with the information that she trusted her with. It would seem to me like a really interesting way to make Lila more useful to everyone on an ongoing basis would be to have her step up into a more central command role at Argus. That to me would seem like the logical place to go, given the little bits that we got between the two of them in this episode.
Agreed.
Do you really think that she would get back into? I mean, obviously she had said, and piggybacking off what you said as far as the setup of how this happened, for me, I liked it a lot too because it just reiterated who Amanda Waller is as a person, and the fact that you've got Joyner, right?
Joyner.
Yeah,
Joyner. Okay, you've got Joyner killing people off, and she's just like, go ahead, I don't care, and Lila hopping in and just saying she really doesn't. Like, that's one of the reasons why I quit. Like, she has no value for human life. Cool. There goes your life. Peace.
I feel like that was a really stupid thing to do on Lila's part. Just like, don't.
It was.
What did you think he was gonna do after that? Give up?
Well, no, but you obviously didn't think he was gonna shoot her that quickly either.
I'm talking in character here. No, it was a beautiful shock for the audience. That is one of those sudden deaths where it's actually fairly well done. And it's not the sort of thing where you sit there afterwards going, God, that was just for shock value, wasn't it? That was really cheap. That was well set up, well executed. There will be consequences. I think it was, well executed. But unintentional wordplay.
Yeah. Let's talk about Shadowspire, though. Oh, what did you want to say?
I just wanted to kind of address your thing real quickly.
Address your thing.
Yeah.
You address the heck out of that
girl.
That got weird.
But I think that Lila would join, especially because Amanda Waller was the only thing that was keeping her from Argus. And so I think that it would be an opportunity for her to make Argus what she would want it to be. like a force for good, kind of in the way that we wanted Oliver to do with the League of Shadows, but with a government organization.
Yeah, I agree with you
Speaking of
completely.
people we haven't seen in a while,
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah, where's he? But
Off in a comic book somewhere, I guess.
but
Playing with ashes.
But yeah, I feel like it's exactly that. I feel like unless somebody with Lila's moral compass takes over Argus, I think the best you can hope for is another Amanda Waller.
Right.
And that's not great for most people.
No. So we'll see. Is this uncharted territory? Do we have comics that have gone in this direction? Because I feel like we don't.
Ordinarily, Amanda Waller is a lot harder to kill than this.
Yeah.
So
Nothing can stand against a studio edict. Nothing.
So maybe?
Uncharted territory it is. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this.
Who knows? You no say. Anyways, all right.
Nobody knows.
Let's go into Shadowspire a little bit more. Going back to the fact that, okay, first of all, we got these flashbacks with Andy to
Diggle flashbacks, thank God.
Yeah.
They were relevant and interesting.
And so relevant, in fact, that they actually retroactively made the other flashbacks more relevant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was nice.
Good episode.
Done.
This one was
Goodbye.
good. So
Good
good.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Just like after weeks of going, okay, the flashbacks were a thing that occurred, and hey, that's about 35 seconds of actual content. Now
Yeah.
it's like,
Hey, this matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was just very interesting to see the origin of how everything went down with Diggle and with his brother. And I had a moment where little Diggle, was talking to Big Diggle. That just sounds
Big
weird.
Dig.
Big Diggle. Anyway, and he's just saying, like, man, I ain't you. I never have been. And the whole time, Big Diggle's been thinking that his brother has turned over a new leaf. But really, in essence, he's the same damn person trying to make money, trying to survive, take this, that, and the third. And it really made me feel like he hadn't changed at all coming to the present. Even though we have this whole fight where he comes up with a plan and seems like old Diggle. There's too many Diggles.
Old Diggle.
And John.
Diggle and Andy.
Yes.
Diggle and Andy. But
Big Dig, Little Dig.
I like saying Big Diggle.
Wow.
No big
At least
Diggle.
call it Biggle. Oh my
Big
God.
Diggle.
Anyway, that
Yes.
was the point to all that. I just got distracted.
Yes.
But yeah, I
Excuse
mean, kind of going off of that. I mean, just because Diggle, John, if you will, made Andy
we?
go to the
We will not.
Since just making him go to the army doesn't mean he's going to turn over a new leaf. It's like
Right.
when your parents make you go to church and it's like, well, I mean,
I'm here.
Yeah, that's cool. Don't mean I got to believe. You know?
Well, I like the idea too that maybe Andy really hasn't changed all that much, but I don't think Andy was ever a bad person so much as he was just a punk that fell in with a lot of really bad people.
He just seems very selfish.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I mean, selfish, absolutely. He's definitely not looking out for anybody so much as he's looking out for Lil Dig. But yeah, I don't think he was ever a bad guy, and I think you see that because I agree with you. I think he is the guy we see at the end of this episode, and it finally, we started over the past couple of weeks getting little pieces of him starting to come out of this shell that he was in. I think the guy we see tonight, the guy who helped Big Dig pull this plan off, is the guy that he was. I think that's him. And so he's not bad, he's a punk.
But even when his plan came to surface, and we didn't know yet that he was going to fight off.
Oh, come on. You knew.
No,
Joiner.
honestly.
You honestly thought that they betrayed him?
Yeah, and I still think he's a
Really?
butthole. Yeah, let me finish my theory on this. So,
Please do.
So, obviously, Big Ol and Little Go. We're having this situation where they're arguing over what to do when Lila's, taken hostage.
Sure.
And the second that little Andy comes up and he's like, all you gotta do is put a gun to my brother's head, she'll tell you what you want. First of all, that plan is not necessarily going to work, and if it doesn't work, you just got your brother shot.
And yeah, to be fair, this was immediately after he shot Amanda Waller in the head with very little provocation.
Exactly. So A, bad idea. I already don't trust you. B, what if in the moment he chickened out and decided not to take down, what the heck is his name? Joiner. I want to call him Goiner. Ooh.
Goiner.
Sounds like a Goiner. I know.
Then he made steroids.
Yeah, because what if there's that what if And if things didn't work out the way he planned, you seriously put your brother in a whole lot of danger. So then when they bring Andy home for dinner, I'm going, really? Is this a good idea? Because I feel like even though the intentions are good on both parties, somewhere in the future, he has now met your child and could possibly put her in danger. I don't feel comfortable with that yet. I'm sorry. If you have a whole history of being deceiving and not trustworthy, blood related or not, everything you've done up until this point has been betrayal. You do one good deed and all of a sudden everything is all forgotten.
It is a risk.
Second chances.
But the flip side is, what's he
With
gonna
your
do?
child.
What's he gonna do? Put him back in the cage? This is still his brother, and he still wants his brother back, even if it is a somewhat idealized version of Andy.
I'm not going to bring him home right away.
Well, see, I definitely see both points of view. I definitely, after what, yes, he was very instrumental in making sure that nobody but poor Amanda Waller got shot in the head.
And that other nameless...
That
A
person.
few nameless people died, but they're
Soldier
nameless
number
people.
He was very instrumental in that, and yes, it definitely represents a big step in the right direction. Would I immediately bring him to my home and have him meet my kid? No, but on the other hand, we've talked about on this show how this is really the one area in which Diggle starts to lose perspective and judgment.
Yeah.
So I totally see him making that decision, if only because he really, really wants to believe that he's going to have that relationship with Andy again. Or
He's been wanting to believe. The
Right.
whole show he's been wanting to believe, and every time he wants to believe, he's proven wrong.
No, right.
But Lila agreed to this as well.
Well,
Yeah.
that's her problem.
I will also add.
I'm just saying that it's not just Andy going off half-cocked and doing what the heck ever. His wife, who is ostensibly someone who can see a little clearer about the situation, also said, yes, give him that chance.
you say
So that
Never mind.
does
Yeah.
mean something.
Well, I would also hope too that like there was a conversation that occurred off screen between Diggle and Lila, which was something to the effect of, well, downstairs before he comes up, we're going to run several metal detectors over him. You and I are going to be armed to the teeth, and no one is taking their eyes off of the baby at any point.
but I
And
don't
there
think
was a security guard that came up with them.
It's not about the present. It's not about thinking he's going to come and do something crazy then. It's about now that this is established, this little circle of trust, in the future,
Yeah.
you don't know what's possible now.
Sure.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, it definitely, I think it's worth for them. Just speaking, trying to put myself in their place. I think it's definitely worth exploring the notion that we maybe can trust this person at some point.
Right.
I definitely would stagger these like trust events a little further apart than they seem to be so far.
But I will say that, like, the Diggle brothers' relationship has reached another level in that, yes, Andy has done a lot of bad things in the past, but Andy and Diggle are also being completely upfront with each other now. It's not like Andy is putting on a show for him and Diggle is trying to essentially police him into doing the right thing. Now they're essentially being completely 100. They're being really upfront.
Wow.
And I think that adds a little more trust to it because now they have nothing to lose in this relationship.
Yeah. Wrapping up the flashback, though, I'm taking it back a few steps. Interesting to see Ryder in the flashback as the head honcho for the
Shadowspire.
No, well, that's what I was going to say. But yeah, same thing. I was going to say the opium turned, let me get this really cool map.
Was that the map of the island then?
I'm pretty sure.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe that's what led him there in the first place.
Thought so, but I was not certain.
Yeah. Though,
Well, they call it right. It was calling it purgatory made me go like, all right, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that thing, right, that place, that nasty place.
Oliver just calls it hell.
Yeah, why do we keep going back to this terrible, terrible place?
Because we have 5 years of flashbacks to get through. That's why.
Nothing good happens there.
We'll say
know.
Oliver was also characteristically taking the blame for everything. And then with everything that happened with Felicity, he's blaming himself. I like the moment that he had with Laurel, and she said, as your ex, let me just remind you, don't blame yourself. That was a great moment.
See, I like
Don't
the
blame
moment
yourself.
he had.
But it's my fault. Honey, we just talked about this.
See, I like the moment he had with Laurel. He was like, last a couple of weeks ago when we were fighting Vandal Savage, Barry went back in
Yeah.
time, and she goes, Hold up, what?
By the way, Barry can go back in time. Like, you should have led with that. I do like that they're bringing that in, because it seems like the events of the crossover, they have a crossover and they just forget
leave it
about it
alone.
for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I do love that that's playing into it, and I'm wondering if the, by the way, I have a small child thing will come back, because that also seems to be like a once a year and then we forget about it thing. And people did notice that Felicity was not wearing her ring in the limousine scene at the end of the...
Oh, I'm going to talk about that in news and gossip.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a thing.
But I feel like too now the existence of a multiverse means he could be like, whoa, that was Earth 2 Oliver's kid. We look alike.
My kingdom for Earth 2 doppelgangers to show up in the... I mean, Earth 2 Oliver is dead. We know
Right.
this.
It was
But I
Earth
would
3 Oliver. He looks just like me.
I would love to see some of the Earth 2 doppelgangers for, like, Barrowman's doppelganger, or like the person who became Ra's al Ghul, who in Earth 2 is someone else entirely. No, wait, they would have been dead like a couple hundred years ago. Never mind. Other people, though.
Someone.
Earth 2 Tommy. As
Oh,
the Dark Archer.
man!
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just blew the audio levels on that. But yes! Approved! Sign me up.
Writers, get on that. I don't know.
Can we make a petition?
Really quickly, can I ask you to check the hashtag, see if there's anything anybody
There
wants
have
us
been
to...
many things in the hashtag, and there was something in the chat like 15 minutes ago, and I will need to find the names, but one person was wondering what the Rubicon was, and another was wondering if it meshed. I'm doing the hand gesture here because I can't. Played into Genesis. Is Rubicon part of our magic Nazi corn? We just don't know. I'm scrolling up to try and find the names so I can credit people accordingly, but yes.
I don't know for sure, but it also seems like if not, this was a very big detour to take.
Yeah, we have Joyce Strangman was the one wondering what Rubicon was, and Aylin Mendoza wondering if they're connected, that's a good word, to Genesis.
Hey, that word.
Couldn't come up with connected. Could come up with fun little hand gestures, but couldn't do connected.
Wow.
That's what we
Bob,
should
do you guys
always
think,
watch
though, this is the end of what we're going to see of Shadowspire, or do you think that they're going to come back?
I think this is just the beginning of Shadowspire. Because when we first meet Alan, he made it seem as if all of Argus was compromised, or at least like there were people he couldn't trust in there. So I think it's gonna be kind of like a, not to spoil anything, but a Winter Soldier type thing where we're gonna see more Shadowspire people popping up in Argus.
Just a
That
side
would be fun
note
and interesting.
Yeah.
that I wanted to point out that I thought was really disgusting. So, gentleman,
Yes.
Alan, who got killed at the very beginning, and he's missing a few fingernails. Is that the same guy? Okay. Fingernails, eyeball, whatever. And then later on, when everybody's watching out and they break into Argus, you guys notice how the eyeball fell, right?
Yeah.
At first, I watched this episode twice. First time, I was like, ew, that was random. Then I realized the second time, because, I take notes and I look up and look down. Second time when I actually watch it without taking notes, I was like, oh, they used that to get into the building.
Yeah.
Wait, so the first time you watched it, you were like, wow, these guys are mean, and they're dropping eyeballs.
No, I was taking notes and I didn't realize that they used the eyeball to scan and you see Alan's picture and the obviously not Asian guy that walks in.
Right.
I just was looking down, looked up, and I saw an eyeball fall as people go running into a room, and I was like, did they just drop that from earlier? Like someone just
what a
happened
weird
to have
choice
it?
this was.
I did
I
think
really
that just
did.
the eyeball dropping was hysterical. Like, don't need that anymore. Whoop.
Yeah, though you probably do. You're getting in the front door, guys. There are other doors.
Yes, and they all seem to be made of glass, and they just shot through them.
Yeah.
Your aesthetics are not helping your security.
Speaking of aesthetics, though, let's talk about some of the fight scenes. Fight scenes never, ever let down, ever in this show.
They
at all.
have
So good.
especially like we've talked about too, like this season, and they were always great, but this season they seem to have really taken their stunt and fight choreography to another level completely, and to the point where watching, I mean, and again, I'm a gigantic nerd, so literally if all the show was every week was like 4 minutes of the Green Arrow, Speedy, and the Black Canary just running around hitting people, I'm in every single week for that, probably 3 times. those sequences end up becoming the highlight of many episodes for me because it is so much fun and so comic booky.
Yeah. I will say though, Diggle got laid into really, really good.
Yes.
At one point, like just blow after blow after blow, and then they bring him in. Gosh, doggy, Joiner.
Yeah.
Why is your name so hard for me? Anyway, the scene where they bring him into the room with Joiner. I'm like, you just got the crap beat out of you. There's no way you should be standing. He just walks in there and he's just like, okay.
I've had worse.
like, that's it?
Your arm's off. No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. Also, am I the only one who I think completely forgot until tonight that Diggle's codename is Spartan?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for
Can we
bringing that
use
up.
that more?
Yeah,
Well,
I
no,
forgot
when
about
did
that
happen?
completely.
When did I just not pay attention?
It definitely happened.
Yeah, it
I
happened
couldn't tell you when anymore.
Around when he first got the mask, and
Yeah.
then they kind of dropped it a little bit. And I think the last time we heard it was when they were kind of going through code names, and Felicity was like, I want a code name. I think that was the last time we had heard it, but like it's not a frequent thing because everyone calls him John or Diggle.
In
And
your
I feel
mind,
like we need it more now, especially since we have Overwatch. Like, okay, everyone has code names. We have mitigated this security risk.
See,
I like that in Tauri's imagination, the role of Felicity is played by Jerry Lewis. That's great. You were saying?
Yeah.
No, I was just the name Spartan, unless it's a comic book reference that I'm just not aware of, it to me came out of left field. Like, I would love for them to have a reason for giving somebody that particular name, whether it be Spartan or, I don't know, like,
Arrow and
Metalhead,
Canary
whatever.
are the only ones with actual reasons for their name.
Right.
And at the moment, Canary's inherited. Speedy's just, I've been calling you that since you were a kid.
Right, but it makes sense. Like, I've been calling you that since you're a kid versus one day I'm just going to be like, Diggle Spartan is great because it's like a Trojan.
I think it's in the way. I
yeah.
think it's in reference to the way that his mask is, with the the T-ish kind of shape to
Oh,
it.
and
Yeah. Also, he's like the big beefy dude in their team, so like he's a Spartan, brah.
Bruh. Oh, excuse me.
he's the
Bruh.
warrior, Oliver's the ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The heck does that make Thea? Is she the rogue?
This is where you start losing me. Like, I can follow you about this far. And then I'm like, what?
D&D terminology. I'm putting everyone in classes now.
Is level 6 mage? Is a mage a thing?
I don't know. Yes, a mage is a thing, and I'm also figuring out what Felicity would be. Support mage, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gets the doors open. Life is good.
I'm just happy into the mage was a thing. Anyway.
No, I was just saying, guys, I know we're shortly going to be running out of time soon, so anything else that we left out that we need to cover before we start to wind things down?
I just got some fun stuff on Twitter.
Like...
I would just say that I'm sad that we didn't get a Die Hard style adventure with Diggle in the.
God,
That,
yes.
that
In
is the
feds.
same thought that I had when Andy was talking about my brother's crawling around through the air vents. I like really wanted to cut into the vent and see Diggle like crawling along with like a lighter in his hand, letting his way, be like, "Yeah, John, come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs. That would have been amazing."
Yes. Anyway.
We have from Vern on Twitter. Wasn't Oliver murdering people for at least 6 months? We should give Andy a chance to redeem himself. Fair point.
There's that.
We have Ryan Craig on Twitter saying, I feel like they treated the first annual crossover like a trip to Vegas. Which is possibly the best analogy I've heard about that. Thank you very much. And then William Williams saying, you don't need to explain a reason why they come up with their code names. And a couple of people in chat, Winter's Beauty and Kimmy Douglas, saying Felicity called him that when they were on the rescue mission for Ray because she couldn't say Diggle because Curtis was with them.
Right.
So she couldn't drop his name.
But why that name?
Because it was the first thing
Yeah.
she
This
came
thing-
up with
yeah,
on the
I mean,
spot.
fair.
And
If that-
Felicity's a terrible improviser.
Yeah, then I'll tell you. Yeah, that's true. Like they
Colors.
don't have. She is the closest thing they have to a Cisco, but they don't have a Cisco. They need a Cisco who can name everything for them.
She just needs to call. Cisco's
Yeah.
like, what do you mean you named him Spartan? I was improvising. I was on the spot. I couldn't think of anything else. Yeah, but Spartan? I mean, come on.
Well, that's the thing.
I want this conversation in
said
the DVD extras.
Yeah, I said they need a Cisco as if the writers were so inclined, they couldn't just call Cisco every week.
We have a guy who does this. Does he wear a specific color? Why the heck are you asking? Because I have a really good idea, but it only works if he wears red. Okay.
All right, guys. I think it's time we take it into some of our news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so I'm going to go into my news. We definitely have pictures. We have a fun video tonight. While we're getting all that pulled up, let me pull up my situation here on my notes.
Fun
okay,
video.
so really quick, the note about people noticing that there is no ring on Felicity. So I have a quote here from Stephen Amell that says, "The fact is, Felicity is not wearing her ring in the flash forward scene, and that was not a mistake. Spoiler alert, I probably messed up."
He does a meme Monday on his page, and everyone does memes, and it's beautiful. And that was I probably messed it up, and then someone photoshopped "I have a kid" underneath it. Like, yeah, honey.
That's probably a good reason.
We look a lot alike.
I mean, I don't know. That's a whole.
I'd love to hear Stephen Amell hit those octaves.
He's just so backed into a corner, and his voice just keeps rising. Anyway.
That'll be a long conversation. Anyways, okay, so really quick pictures that I'm pulling up. So y'all know Stephen Amell loves doing t-shirt campaigns. He's such a big supporter in any type of charity work. So he is challenging, for those of you guys who don't know, WWE fan, this is Elijah Mainville, hopefully I say it right. And he's a huge fan of WWE. He's also battling stage 4 cancer right now. And so in order to raise funds, they're doing a t-shirt campaign. This is the t-shirt. This is a little picture of him that you guys can take a look at. And I do know, let's see if I can pull up my little situation here. Stephen Amell has issued another challenge to WWE superstar Stardust, this time saying that he would auction off his WWE Slammy Award to benefit Drax Shadow, which is this young man's code name. Only Stardust has to give it back first. What? So, anyways, cool. the award, yeah. But anyways, There's a flashback for y'all when they first did their situation. Okay, next picture is just a fun picture of John Barrowman
just doing Barrowman stuff.
Yeah. Everybody on the cast is looking real nice and happy, with the exception of Paul Blackthorne, who just looks not pleased at all, and then Stephen Amell, who's probably the only one who really realizes there's
what's
a button
going on.
Oh no,
back there.
I think Blackthorne is aware that something is wrong, and he doesn't quite know what it is, but he can feel it.
Yeah.
He's got good enough peripheral vision to be able
just
to...
like, I just see white, just a flash of white on the side of my head with the accent. Oh, is it video time? Okay, guys, I did not know, bad Stephen Amell fan, bad, that he was such a great singer. And, you know, that Disney movie that drives me... I love Disney. The one movie that drives me crazy.
You have the context for this, right?
Yes.
Heroes and Villains Fan Fest, which was snowed out on Saturday.
Yes, I do know this.
Yes, awesome.
Point of the story
Does the audience.
This is the best song in that entire movie, and Stephen Amell is going to share with us. Oh, just kidding. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, anyway. In the meantime, we're going to read some iTunes reviews because you are all lovely human beings, and we really super appreciate it. And I wasn't kidding about if you leave a review, it gets read on the show. Yeah. So we have My Fangirl Venting Place by Baby Cakes. I love watching this, partially because it makes me think more about the show and new theories, and partially because it gives me a place to fangirl when my friends don't watch the episode on time. Amazing by The Killer, and you have a bunch of numbers after your name that I'm not even going to start with. This is my favorite podcast in the world.
Aww.
Highlight by The Longest Keyboard Smash I've ever seen in my life. This podcast is the highlight of my week. I look forward to hearing the different viewpoints on my favorite show. Tangents Galore by I Love Arrow 012. It's all in caps, which is why we got the voice. Yeah. Keep up the great work, guys. Love everything about this after show. And Nazi Corn FTW by Stephen Dan 77. Love the after show and always listen to before the next episode of Arrow comes on. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, we love you guys too.
Amazing.
All right, good to go.
Yay, let's watch the video.
Rise and surrender to
oh wait, this is the other video. Just kidding. This is
I'm okay with this.
Phantom.
your thoughts of the life you knew before.
Is he filming or pulling up lyrics?
Probably lyrics.
Close your eyes and let your spirit start to soar.
Like a little thing he did with his hand.
As you've never lived before. Music shall surround you. Feel
us that, you can find it on YouTube. Steven, do we have the other video by chance?
This is the only one I was sent.
Oh no. Okay, well, next week we'll hear Stephen Amell sing Frozen because it's just really super cute.
Maybe it'll be a little warmer by then.
Yeah. Would you like to build a snowman? Okay.
It doesn't have to be a snowman.
Okay, anyways. I'll take, you know what? Do you want to get fired off of this podcast?
Okay, bye.
All right, let's go into predictions, guys.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, who
The
wants
lecture's
to
pink tonight.
Who wants to predict first? We know the
We have the calculator next episode, and I distinctly remember being in an after show when we found out that was going to happen and absolutely laughing our butts off at the name The Calculator.
Do we want to take bets as to whether or not he is Felicity's father?
I'm going with no.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think so
No.
either. Although Felicity's father is supposed to come sometime this season.
I didn't read any confirmation, but I read some talk about this episode that leads me to believe there is some connection there.
Really?
I mean, he does seem like her nemesis because they're both basically having a hack off the whole episode. It looks like, and so I think that would be a really interesting turn of events if he does end up being her father. But being the calculator,
She wins the nickname game.
yeah.
Yeah.
She definitely wins the nickname
Well, we do
game.
know. Oh, okay, going off of what you said, though, we do know that her father is a villain, though, right?
That's what I thought, and I couldn't cite a source for this, but I remember reading that somewhere.
We do have EJ Matter in the chat saying he is. They confirmed it. Can you send us a link in the hashtag,
Really?
guys? Because I like to be able to cite my sources.
That also seems like an odd thing to confirm wholesale before the episode airs.
A
But
little wild. Yeah, more than one person in the chat saying it's confirmed. Seriously,
All right.
ABTV Arrow, send us a link with whatever interview or whatever has this confirmation because I would like to see this.
Hold on, they're updating the wiki right now.
Do you guys have any other predictions? Because we are winding out of time. Let's throw them out there real quick. Come on.
Not particularly. It just looks like it's going to be a really interesting sort of hackathon.
hackathon.
Yeah.
I just want to see John Barrowman again come back, and like we were saying before, Curtis come back. I want to see him. And yeah, that's it. That's not a prediction
And
at
Roy's
all.
coming back at some point
Yes.
in life.
Isn't it supposed to be 14, right?
Is it?
I think it is.
14
Okay.
or 15.
Something
One
like
of
and
the
what
two.
did we just hit?
This was
10?
11?
I don't know.
We're great, huh?
So it'll be a bit.
I'll maintain my prediction of Lila taking over Argus and Argus having infiltrators.
Yeah,
Bam.
well, it is
That's
like the
it.
Winter Soldier thing,
Very
and then that would
shield.
essentially make her the Coulson, would it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Be great.
Yeah.
It'll be
Good.
very hands-on.
Are we good? Are we golden, guys? I'm taking us home. Yes.
never gonna be okay.
We're
Golden
golden.
later.
Let's go
We're
home.
golden. Last prediction of the night: Felicity will walk again. It's not a complicated prediction, but I know she's gonna walk again. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We had so much fun chatting with you in the live chat, and make sure to subscribe to AfterBuzz TV and of course to Boys in Beauty on YouTube. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm Alikona Bradford, and thank you for joining us. Say goodbye to everybody else.
I'm Lex Michael, all over social media at the Lex Michael. I'm also on a bunch of shows here, including Legends of Tomorrow. Join us tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Pacific for episode 2. Time travel.
And I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Tauri J. It's TauriJOR.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at KiaJ. That's KIAXET. I am also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. I am on so many of the shows: Star Wars Rebels, Muppets is back next week. Blind Spot comes back at the end of the month. And guys, if you're in San Antonio for PAX South this weekend, I will be there. Come say hi.
Yay! All right, good night, everybody. See you next week. Mwah, 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 mwah.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principal.